We're we're there. Mhm. Welcome, welcome. We'll be starting momentarily. Give it a few minutes. Hello. Welcome. We'll be starting momentarily. You can already start thinking about your questions. Ruiz, what's up, man? Everything is going well. Hope all is well on your side as well. Thank you for joining the live chat and discussion. And we're going to see what we get into today. This is the first time I do this, so if things go sideways, I do apologize beforehand. We will be learning as we go. So if you have a question or a topic or something, you can just go ahead and put it in the chat, and we'll get started here very, very shortly. Very, very shortly. I hope everybody's having a good weekend, or has had a good weekend. We're already towards the end of it. We got to go back to work tomorrow. This sucks, I know. But it is what it is. That is correct. We are going to be working the day away starting tomorrow. Still trying to learn some things here. So, what happens if I do that? Huh? Just pin the message. Okay. Right. Alex is asking about drum breaks. Bringing back drum breaks. That's a good question. I hate drum breaks. I'll be honest with you. They are a pain. They are a pain. All the springs, the adjustments, this, that. I back in the way back many moons ago, way before my time. That's all there was is drum breaks. Um, they do work. Not say they don't, but as a technician to service, repair, I find disc brakes so much easier. to, do the service. What you have to do, you got to replace pads, cut the rotor, and you're done. The drums, yeah, you just cut the drums and that's done. But to take the to take the shoes off and put him back on, lubricate the backing plate, it's just, to me, is a whole it's a whole it's a whole thing. It takes forever. Well, it really doesn't. I mean, let me correct myself. It really doesn't take forever. It's more of a mind thing. You're used to disc brakes, and so it's much easier. But in my opinion, now the whole reasoning behind it is, allegedly, from what I've read, drum brakes are, I guess, less contaminant to the environment, because the dust, kind of, most of the dust gets, uh most of the dust gets contained within the brake system. That's why you got to clean and adjust every so often, get all that stuff out. You don't want to blow it out in the air and breathe it because it's bad for your health. But it most of it gets contained there. Whereas in disc brakes, the dust kind of just floats out while in operation, and it kind of lands on the side of roadways. And then when the rain comes, it washes it away, and then it ends up in the storm system, and it's more contamination. That's what I read, and that's why they were entertaining the idea. Ruiz asks, what car you think a V8 engine fits best? Well, if you're talking about car, uh, hello, Ivy. I hope I'm saying that right. Um, if you're talking about car, really any large sedans, which they don't have anymore, especially muscle cars and stuff like that. You want that V8 power, even though the new smaller engines with the turbos and all that, uh, can easily overtake in power because of all the new modern technology. I will say though, um, once you start putting all that stuff there, dependability goes down. Turbos and stuff like that for just regular driving Miss Daisy around. Type of ordeal. But I do like the V8s, in large sedans, uh, like the Grand Marquis, the Lincolns and stuff like that, luxury vehicles. Those things, they would not die. I mean, yeah, they all had some issues, but those things were for a long time. I will say that. Um, by far, my favorite setup was the Grand Marquis and the Lincoln Town Car. That kind of setup. That, to me, that was my favorite. Um, Italian V8 or American? I'm just gonna go ahead and say American because I have a thing against Euros. I hate working on European cars, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say American. I'm biased. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Ivy asked, "How do I test worn tie rods? This shop I took it to seems weird, and they told me I need tie rods. I just want to confirm it." Well, the process is relatively simple. What you want to do is first, safely jack up the vehicle, the front of the vehicle, to get that tire, um, in the air. So once you do that, you're going to hold the tire on each side, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and you're going to shake. Let me see if I can get you better. You're going to shake from side to side, in and out like that, and you will feel you're just going to do some quick motions, jerking motions like that, in and out. So what you're feeling for is play. If you feel clunk, 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 definitely you have worn tie rods. But you need to get a visual, because sometimes worn ball joints and things of that nature will give a similar symptom. But yeah, depending on how bad it is, you'll have more and more play. If it's very tiny, very subtle, not so much. But if it's very obvious, it's easier to see where that play is coming from. So what you want to do is definitely shake it, and you're gonna feel for that play. If you feel that play, kind of try to take a peek. It's kind of difficult. If you have somebody that can help you, have them shaking, and you could look and feel the tie rod. You're gonna see the little motions because there's joints in there, in the inner and the outer, because you got to see which one is worn too. Is it the inner or the outer, or both? Um, there's a joint, a ball and socket. Think of your rotator cuff here in your shoulder. There's a ball and socket, and over time that wears out, so you get that play in the joint. That's where you get that play from. And if you don't fix that, you will never get that car aligned correctly. So you definitely want to get that fixed. It'll eat up your tires. You'll have some steering, some stability issues and things of that nature. So if you think you can't do that on your own, then feel free to go to another another shop to get a second opinion. You get a second opinion, and and you can tell if they're trying to, bamboozle you or something. Ruth asks, what fluid do you recommend for lubricating a car engine? Huh. Lubricating a car engine. Well, motor oil, I guess. I don't think I quite comprehend. If you can clarify that, engine oil additives, maybe is that what you're? No problem, Ruiz. Just uh, try to clarify, and I'll answer it as best as I can. Alex asking, would that cause sloppy steering? Yes, yes, yes. It would cause. Depending on how bad it is, yeah. You can get what is called bump steer. When you go over a bump, it changes the angles of the front tires pretty much, and you'll notice like it kind of jerks to one side or the other. So yeah, it will cause some sloppy steering depending on how bad it is. Okay. Any other questions or topics about the? And I'm just gonna go ahead and assume about the about what Ruiz was trying to ask about the grease or lubrication for the engine. Um, Motor oil, the appropriate weight that is recommended by the manufacturer. And I know this is going to open up a whole can of worms because with the recent GM issue, that's sparking a large controversy, which I agree. I know these thinner oils, they're causing more of a headache. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a chemist, but I know we are having a lot of issues that I haven't seen many years ago before all of this stuff started coming about. So, what's the common denominator there? Um, Thinner oils, difference in building strategies and whatnot. But the oil that is specified for the vehicle is the one that should be used to avoid any warranty issues and things of that nature. Regardless of what I think, you guys think, anybody thinks, the manufacturer is supposed to know best for that engine. And and if you put what doesn't go in there, they can easily void your warranty, and then you're stuck if something were to happen. If something were to happen. So Ruiz, I hope that kind of answers your question. If not, then just feel free to clarify, and I'll try to get it answered. Any other questions coming up here? So this is going to be our first one, so we'll see what happens. This is another thing with the ACs and stuff, all the new refrigerants and stuff. Again, that just that's another can of worms uh, to service. Lewis asks Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen. Well, I am the wrong guy to ask that question. Uh, Alex is Max Verstappen 100% of the way. I'm not a big F1 guy or big me and Alex get into it all the time. I mean, I'm a repair guy. When you talk about high performance stuff, is like that's never been my cup of tea. Reality. That's kind of weird. I know. I fix cars for a living. Most people are like all over it, but my guy over here, Max Verstappen, super fan, uh, all the way. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. All right. He says that Max is the best. So, what is my favorite wrench or ratchet? Well, my favorite, believe it or not, I have it right here. I use this on a daily basis, a 3/8 flex head. No, it is not Snap-on. No, it is not Icon. I did a comparison between Icon and this wrench a while back, and this one came for me. This one came up top. It's got a low profile and it works very, very well. This is my favorite wrench that I use every day. It is a Duralast, believe it or not. And it is not that expensive. It is quite affordable. I don't remember what I paid for it, but I think it was either just under or slightly over $20 or something like that. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. It was cheaper than the Icon. I will say that. It was cheaper than the Icon. But this bad boy gets used every day. Okay. Alex says that is his favorite ratchet too. So, and I got a collection of them. I got this one. Now, 3/8. I'm sorry. I apologize. 1/4 inch ratchet. Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. I've had this one for a while. It's a little floppy, I know, but it's a flex head as well. It works very, very, very well. So depends on what drive you're talking about. This one for 1/4 inch is my favorite. I got a 1/2 inch snap on. Don't use it very much. Which one? Oh, the big boy. This big boy right here. This is a 1/2 inch. Also Pittsburgh. Is it Pittsburgh? No, I take that back. I take that back. I think this is Clutch from Northern Tools, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that. Or maybe it is Pittsburgh. I don't remember now. But this guy gets used every now and then as well. I have many, many, many tools. Let's see what other questions we got. Heavy asks, how are you not into racing? I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm really not. Um, Alex, my son is. He's all into that. He watches all of them. I've never been into high performance. Even when I was in school, everybody wanted to be the little Hondas and putting their mufflers and turbos, the little racers. We used to call them. I don't know what they call now, but uh, they're still called racers. What? Oh, hey, that makes sense to me. But I was never into that. I really wasn't. especially doing drag racing and stuff in the streets. That's dangerous. I always found it to be dangerous, and I never really liked partaking in any event where human life is needlessly at risk. Um, Obviously, if you do it professionally, you're in a set environment that's different. There's a lot of safety things going to play. But out in the streets where there's anarchy and stuff like that, no, I'm not with all that. Uh, Trod says, how often should I really change my brakes? Good question, Trod. That varies. It depends on your driving habits. It will determine how long it's going to last. I've done brakes on cars that are a year and a half, 2 years. I've had cars that brakes last 3, 4, 5 years. You know, it really depends on how you drive it. You should change it when, and I don't have my little thing readily available. I have a gauge for that. It's outside actually. Has a really good one. Mm. Solis has a really good one. That it's a pad and it'll show the wear. It's a visual and it'll show the wear. Oh yeah, yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, yeah, I've seen those. It's a pad and it's got different. It'll actually tell you the wear. Just to get a visual. I know. Yeah, yeah, I was gonna get to that. I have one particular customer that I do his brakes at least twice a year. What the heck? I don't know. They're not locked up. I've checked them. But he drives like an F1 racer in the highway. He's a very aggressive driver. Once, at least once a year, I have to change his brakes. Um, but it's really up to you how you drive it, your driving habits and things like that. They should last at least, you know, 2 years at least, or a little bit more than that, minimum, in my opinion. Uh, how often should someone check their tire pressures? Well, that's another good question. Tire pressure should be checked regularly. Um, if you don't have any leaks or anything, you shouldn't have to make any adjustments. I like to check them every time I do an oil change on a customer. It automatically gets the tire pressures checked and adjusted. That's part of the service that I offer. Obviously, you always want to, before major road trips and things like that, you want to check your oil levels, fluid levels, tire pressures, tire condition. So if you're planning on going on a long trip, definitely get that tire pressure checked before you head on out and make adjustments as needed. Um, Trod. Also, my car makes a ticking noise when I started. What could that be? Yeah, that's going to be difficult for me to answer. That could be a number of things. You got something going on the drive belt or engine. Um, that could be a problem. I don't know. That's going to be kind of difficult for me to answer that without being there with the car, hearing it and experiencing what you're talking about. But that could be a number of things. It could be nothing. It could be just be normal operation, or it could be something wrong with the engine. Depends on what vehicle you got and things of that nature. Sorry, I can't give you a better answer. What is the most common problem you see in cars you work on? Okay. Let me see. I see a lot of problems. Oil leaks, yeah. Oil leaks. GM loves to leak oil. Um, a lot of older cars, but mostly it's going to be oil leaks and worn suspension parts, steering parts. That's what we call normal wear and tear. That's normal wear and tear. That's things to be expected over time. Um, but crazy problems. Yeah, I've ran into a couple, but you know, That's part of the business. But mostly it's going to be normal wear and tear stuff that what I run into. You know, worn suspension parts, wore tires, brakes, belts, leaks, oil leaks, fluid leaks, coolant leaks, things of that nature. Uh, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. VK, I think. VKO. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. I do apologize. What do you recommend maintenance wise for Tesla? Well, Teslas, even though there is no internal combustion engine, there are some maintenance items for Teslas. You have a cooling system, you got AC, you have brakes, just like any other car. You got brakes, you got tires. Um, they do have some issues with electric motors, electricity, and stuff like batteries and stuff like that. But maintenance, preventative maintenance, that's probably what you're gonna run into. Tires, brakes, suspension parts eventually. So just do a regular. I don't work much on Tesla, so I don't know what their what is it I'm thinking of their schedule for inspections and stuff are. Because normally you would do that every oil change in a car, 3 to 5,000 miles. That's another topic we're gonna get into. Oil changes. Um, give me a thumbs up or something if you agree that we should talk about that. Or better yet, subscribe. um, because I do talk about that a lot. I do talk about that a lot. Um, but whenever there's an opportunity to do an inspection, I would say anywhere between 3 to 5,000 miles. You should get the everything. Just do a general over uh look, general inspection, multi-point inspection is what it's called. What has been my most brain rattling issue? Oh boy, we've had we have we have had our share here, haven't we, Alex? Um, recently, actually, I've had quite a few of them. Oh yeah, we had that week. I've had just recently one with an alternator. I did do a case study on that. Feel free to look it up in the channels. Hasn't been too long ago, a few weeks ago, on a Transit Connect. That thing drove me crazy for about 2 or 3 days. I changed some part that thought it was the problem and it wasn't. That was not cool. But I didn't resolve it. It ended up being an alternator that was causing the car to go crazy. It was shorting out the Lin bus or something like that. That it was just doing something that I've never seen before. Uh, Maybe if you're a Ford tech, maybe you see this all the time because you're dealing with the same problems all the time. But um, definitely, definitely, that one was giving me brain issues afterwards. My brain was hurting. My brain cells were depleted. Uh, do you think cars will stay gas and electric or go full electrical in the future? To be they want to electrify everything. That seems to be the path that they want to go. Honestly, I don't know how that's going to work. I don't think we have the technology yet for that. Um, the whole reasoning behind it, which is another topic too that we probably will talk about at some point, about emissions and things like that, pollution, which I'm totally against pollution. But I don't think we have the technology to go full on electric, in my opinion. Um, it's just not there yet, but you got to start somewhere. Okay, you got to start somewhere. That's how technology advances and evolves. You got to start somewhere. You're not going to get it dead on the first shot. just like anything else. But I think that's a lot with the future, honestly. To what extent, we'll have to see. I'm a big fan of the hybrid just because you still have that internal combustion engine. Unless they do something with the range and the charging time, that's really what I'm looking at with the issues. Charging times for electric vehicles, or even though I've heard that Tesla's gotten pretty good at it, um, 30, 45 minutes or something like that. I'm not sure. If somebody is can write in the comments if they know, let us know. Let if 20 minutes now, allegedly. Okay. Hey, that's cool. Um, if somebody owns a Tesla, let us know. Please feel free to let us know. Uh, AV asks stupid question. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. What are oil changes? Why are oil changes super important? Okay. They're important because that is the life of the engine. It keeps everything well lubricated. The tolerances between engine components that are rotating are very, very tight. They need to be properly lubricated. And that's why oil in the engine is very important. But changes are important because over time that oil gets dirty due to byproducts from the combustion event. So if you've ever done an oil change or looked at your oil change when it was first fresh in the car, or if you look at it in the bottle, you'll see it's like an amber color, clear, very clean looking fluid, lubricant. And when it comes out of the bottom of your drain pan, if you ever seen somebody changing oil, it looks black. Well, there's a reason why it gets black. Those are contaminants in there, from soot and stuff from the combustion events. Uh, and You got to get that out. You got to get that out because if you don't, it will accelerate wear in your engine. Bearings and things of that nature will wear out prematurely, and it will cause you all type of issues. And the engine oil, if it doesn't get changed, it will sludge up. It will sludge up. Then it plugs everything up. You can't get lubrication where it needs to go, and the next thing you know, you're buying a $4 or $5,000 engine, and I don't think you want that. So, and that goes back to what I was talking about, regular oil changes, and I talk a lot about that. The industry is going towards these extended service intervals, um, over 5,000 miles in most cases. Um, they go from back in the day, it used to be 3,000 miles and you're done. Change it every three months, 3,000 miles, and you're golden. We had issues, but not as much as today. Then they went to 5,000 miles, 5 months or something like that. Okay, we started seeing a little bit of this and that. Um, then now we see more extended than that, 7,500, 10,000, 15,000 mile oil change intervals. I don't care who you are. I don't care what they say. In my opinion, this is my professional opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. That is way too long. That's why we're having all these timing chain problems, cam phaser problems, engines sludging up problems. That's why we're seeing all these issues. Uh, and it all really boils down to poor oil changes. And ask any professional automotive technician that's been doing this for a while, and they will probably agree with me saying these 10, 15,000 mile oil changes is way too much. I say no more than 5,000 using full synthetic blend, whatever. Not sponsored. That's just what I use. The and no more than 5,000 miles, and even that is pushing it. So I would say 5,000 miles or less on synthetic oils. 5,000 miles or less. So remember that. That's the magic number. 5K or less. So if you want to do it at 4,000, if you want to stick to the 3,000 miles, you're not doing anything wrong. You know, oil changes are cheap, engines aren't. That's just me. That's just me. All right, let's see what else. I gotta went on a rant there for a second. I went on a rant there for a second. Casey Jones says, "Do you think Cybertrucks look good?" I do not. In my opinion, they look ugly, but that's just me. I don't know if I should say this or not. I think I okay. I'll say it in a nice way. I think the engineers were probably on drugs when they came up with that design. I don't know. That's just me. I don't find nothing useful or appealing about that shape. I don't know. Maybe it's aerodynamic. I don't know. It's not. I don't. Honestly, I don't. I don't know. See, Cybertruck looks like a PS2 skin that didn't render right. Oh boy. I don't know, man. That truck looks ugly to me, in my opinion. Like, if you like it, I respect that. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that me, I don't. They asked me what I thought, and I think it's ugly. I'm sorry. What? The Cybertruck looks like a car the villain in an N64 James Bond. Oh my God. Oh my God. You are not right. I'm sorry, y'all. This boy ain't right. He said he said the Cybertruck. He said the Cybertruck looks like a villain in the old N64 James Bond video game. You're right. It does. It looks jacked up, man. I'm sorry. Oh boy. All right, try. That is hilarious. Oh man. Now I can't get that out of my head now. Every time, every time I drive by a Tesla, now I'm gonna think about the N64 graphics. Oh crap. That is hilarious. Okay, sorry, Trod. What's the truth about synthetic versus conventional oil? Okay, so synthetic oils are a better oil. The molecules are more. Let me see. I'm not a chemist, so I'm. Uh, I want to say as much as I can, but I don't want to say something that's wrong. um, Synthetic oils are better because they lubricate. They got other properties. Um, Conventional oils have their place in the world as well. Obviously, that's what we've used for many decades. But I use strictly synthetics now because the industry has gone a lot to that. I used to carry both and give the more of an option where you want conventional or synthetic. But now I just really just use synthetic across the board. Some people may disagree with that. They say, "Oh, it causes leaks and this and that." I don't think it causes leaks. If it leaks, is because something was already about the leak. Uh, that's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. But synthetics are better. They cost more, obviously, so your oil changes are going to be more expensive. That's why you can go the extra, 2, 3,000 miles or so, whatever, versus conventional. But I wouldn't abuse too much of that either. Like I said, stick to a lower 3 to 5,000 mile service interval. So that's how they can get away with those. 10,000, 15, 20,000 oil changes or something like that. I hope that answers your question. Uh, Ruiz asks, what is the most complex engine you've had to deal with in your career? Just about anything that is produced nowadays is complex. It's everything has gotten really, really, really complicated. The modern engine is complex. The theory is still the same, oxygen, fuel, compression, spark, you got a working engine, but the way they do it, the way they design it, is totally complex. Just about all of them, because they got variable just variable timing, things of that nature. Though that's really what makes it complex. All those little extras. In theory, the engine is pretty straightforward. You got pistons that go up and down, and you got the intake, the four-stroke intake, compression, power, and exhaust, and you got a working engine. But it's the extras that they've done over the decades. That's what makes it complex. The introduction of VVT, they put turbos on most of them now to give it the power, and dealing with all that, that's really what makes it complex and annoying more than anything else. Uh, Fabian says, "What's up, man? What's up, Fabian? How you doing?" Mobile One filters claim 20,000 miles. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and claim malarkey on that one. Yeah, I might handle it, but yeah, okay, whatever you say, dude. Whatever you say, mobile Mobile One. Uh, we have a saying. Latin culture has a saying, "El papel aguanta lo que tú le pongas." That translates, the paper holds whatever you write on it. At the end of the day, you know, we'll see if it really holds up to the claim. But I don't buy that for one bit. That goes back to what I was saying about the 5,000 uh, mile oil changes. Let's see. What are early signs of transmission failure? Good question. Uh, there's several things that could happen. The most well known and prominent is you're gonna have some gear slipping. You may put it in drive and hit the accelerator, and you just see the thing revving up, and then it doesn't do anything. Doesn't go anywhere. You may some experience some unusual vibrations during shifting. That's called shudder. That's the clutch is slightly slipping, starting to slip, and that could be the early signs of, maybe you just got to do a fluid change. And I'll say that with a disclaimer. Be prepared to, if it improves it, great. If it makes it worse, get ready to take that car into a transmission specialist because you're fixing to rebuild a transmission. Um, I'm a big believer in transmission oil changes, fluid changes, flushes. You want to do that early on in its life. If if it's higher up there in mileage, uh, 100 plus, and it's never been done before, that's when I tend to warn people. Say, if this starts giving you issues, it wasn't me. Be ready to take this into a transmission specialist because I don't rebuild transmissions. Wasn't nothing that I did. It was already on its way out. We just helped it. That's all. Um, because sometimes that same gritty, nasty fluid that's in there is actually helping apply those clutches still. Once you wash some of that off, you top it off with fluid, fresh fluid. Now all of a sudden you have slipping discs or clutches, clutch packs. And then, as a mechanic, you always tote the blame for that. My car was perfect when I brought it in here, and now it's slipping. So you did something. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but no, I did not. I just changed the oil. It was already on its way out. But people don't want to hear that. And no shop or mechanic wants to eat a $4 or $5,000 transmission job. That's why a lot of shops will tell you don't touch it. But if you're experiencing some of that, some weird jerking and stuff like that, uh, they will. That's early signs of a possible transmission failure. Good question, by the way. Uh, okay, how'd you fall in love with cars? Well, this is something that I've been doing for a long time. It takes me back when I was a kid, working with my dad. Uh, he was a mechanic for many years, and that's how I got introduced to this. And I've been doing it for a very, very long time. So I do enjoy working on cars. I have a love and hate relationship with this industry. We have an understanding. Some days I love it, some days I hate it, but it is what it is. Uh, do you think there's mechanic shops that try to jack up their prices based on someone's little knowledge of car? I've seen places charge ridiculous prices for basic things someone could do at home. Okay, so that's a very delicate question. Um, the yes, unfortunately, there are some shady um shops and mechanics out there that will jack up the price just because, or they will upsell things they don't need to, especially if you don't know, you don't know. So I'm not going to sit here and say no. Yes, they do exist and they give us all a bad name. They give us all a bad name, unfortunately. Um, so I live by the golden rule. The golden rule is treat others as you want others to treat you. Um, so whenever I conduct, and I also follow the scripture's guidance on to be honorable in all things. So I don't practice that. Obviously, everybody says that, but I don't practice that because I like to treat everybody fairly and be honest in all things. Um, but yes, they do exist. Unfortunately, they are out there. They do take advantage of people who don't know. I have an experience with a customer that went through that, and I was insulted for him. Um, I was insulted that they would go do that because you don't know what you don't know. Um, now, the second part of your question or statement, I should say, says I've seen places charge ridiculous prices for basic things someone can do at home. Just because the price is a little high doesn't mean that they're ripping you off. Generally, you know, it's the cost of doing business. Unfortunately, they have high. You can't go to one shop. I will say this though, you cannot go to one shop, get one price, go to another shop, get a different, substantially higher price, and automatically assume that they're ripping you off. That I will say, don't fall into that because again, we have another saying, "Lo barato sale caro." The whatever's cheap, it comes out expensive at the end. If I'm translating it right. Um, Maybe these guys are doing something that this guy's not doing. So a lot of the cases it's the consumer's fault for not knowing or asking the right questions. And again, you don't know what you don't know. If you go to shop A, hey, it's $5 to do this service. You go to shop B and they say it's $200 to do. Start asking questions. Why is it $200? Explain to me, and do the same for both. Okay, well, $5. What will you be doing? What does that consist of? What's the deal here? Why is it $5 when everybody else is charging um $200 and vice versa? Why is it 200 when everybody's charging $5? What are you doing different? You may get a better service here than here, and it's all value. There's there's a value in what this shop is offering you. And it may seem expensive versus this one, yeah, but you may be getting a better value here. So be conscious of that when you're pricing out repairs. Don't always go with the low baller, uh, because again, you're probably going to realize real quick, okay, now I see why this guy is so cheap. And maybe he's great. I'm not saying that. Maybe that's just his price. His price is that low because maybe he doesn't have as much overhead. See, all those things are contributing factors for the shop's cost of operation. So, um, yeah, you can do a brake pad change in your front yard, and it'll just cost you the price of the pad. For example, 40, 45, 50, $60 for the pads, whatever it may be. Depending on the quality of pads that you get, um, depending on the quality of pads that you get, the higher quality, the more you got to pay, obviously. But you're doing the job yourself, you can get it done. Are you resurfacing the rotors? Are you lubricating the sliding pins? Are you checking for unusual wear? Are you checking for play? You know, all that comes into play. All that comes into play. Yeah, you can do it in your yard and save, you know, hundreds of dollars, but do you know what you're doing? A lot of people may think, oh, changing pads is easy. No, there's a science to it. There's a science to it to make sure that you don't have vibrations, noises, and things of that nature down the road. Um, you know, a lot of people don't account for that, but yeah, it's just just know what service you're getting and make sure you're getting a value for the price. That's what I would say. Don't necessarily go with the lowest ball, the lowest price out there. Good statement, by the way. Good question. Uh, how can I tell if my alternator is going bad? Okay, well, alternator is in charge of maintaining the charge of the battery. So the battery's normal state of charge voltage is for a fully charged battery should be 12.6 volts. The alternator, once that vehicle gets started, its job is to maintain that battery charged and to supply voltage to other instruments and anything that requires electricity in the car after that. Once you get that car started, the operating voltage should be, and there's some exceptions to this, so don't, should be around 13.5 to about 14.5 volts. Somewhere around there is a happy alternator. Some of these Hondas will fool you. You will look at it and put your multimeter is charging at 12.6, 12 point something, not quite 13, and you could swear, oh, wait a minute, I got a bad alternator. You'll put it in alternator and realize it's doing the same thing. Well, why is that? Is because Honda has a logic in the ECU that controls the alternator, and it varies the voltage output based on the demand or the load on the battery. There's a sensor there that tells the computer, hey, we need this because you got the lights on, the AC going, the wipers, whatever the situation may be. It says, hey, we need more juice. We need more juice. So you'll see that voltage come up then and only then when you turn on loads on the car. So be careful of that. But generally speaking, that's what you're going to run into 13.5 to 14.5. If you're not getting that output, especially under load, yeah, chances are you got a bad alternator. But again, have a professional look at it because just because it's not charging doesn't mean that the alternator itself is bad. It could have a broken wire or a bad connection, something like that, that can cause the same symptom. Or something that caused the alternator to go bad. Oil leaks that drip on the alternator. Honda, I'm looking at you. Uh, also Nissan. uh, it can that oil works its way in there, starts boogering up and messing up all the internals, and it will cause that. So if you don't fix the oil leak, you will be replacing that alternator again. So keep that in mind. I hope that answers your question. Do you believe in going to a technical school or just going into industry and gaining? Okay, so yes, I am a believer in trade schools, that kind of education that they teach you how to make a living and how to do some cool stuff with your hands. That's where you get the theories and some experience, but that's where you learn the theories and why it is you do that you do, and why it is how you do it, and why it is that the whatever it is you're working on does what it's doing. You learn all that stuff in school. Now, when you go out into the real world and get your hands dirty, that's where you're really gonna get the experience. Once you start getting boo-boos in your hands, that's when you're gonna that's when you're gonna realize and learn. You're gonna learn from your mistakes, especially at the beginning. There's nothing wrong with making bad calls, especially when you're new. Uh, it's gonna be a costly mistake, but hopefully it's not to you. Um, and the shop owner should understand that that is bound to happen. But yes, I am a believer in trade school. Trade school. If you want to go to, any other college to become a lawyer, a doctor, and all that, that's great. We need doctors and lawyers and stuff like that. So, um, but some people get caught up in the higher education thing, and at the end of it all, they're not that smart. I'm just saying. I've ran into a few characters in my lifetime. Okay, how do I know if my steering fluid is low or contaminated? Well, the contamination should be somewhat relatively simple to see. It'll be different color than it originally was. Normally, uh, power steering fluid is normally red, similar to transmission fluid. As a matter of fact, most vehicles use the same transmission fluid for power steering fluid. Ford, for example, and things of like that. Others require a special transmission fluid that may be different in color, maybe clear, maybe uh, light blue or whatever. I don't know, whatever it is that they normally put in there. But um, if it changes color from its original color, then you know there's something going on. And all fluids need service. All fluids need, periodic replacement and things of that nature. So that's part of maintaining the vehicle. But if it's low, the most common thing that you're gonna hear is gonna be a noise, a gargly. It's called cavitation. You don't have enough fluid to keep the pump full of fluid, so you get these pockets of air in the veins and the things that do the pumping, and those pockets of air and vapor collapse, and you start getting a gargling noise. Very annoying, especially when you turn from side to side. You go start whining and doing all kinds. That's a clear sign that you're low on power steering fluid. Thank you for that. Thank you for that question. Okay, so do we have anything else? We're actually, if there's any questions, we're probably going to end here. Um, I thank you all so much for being here today to our first live Q&A and discussion. Um, if you're not subscribed, I ask that you please subscribe. Um, you're welcome, Ruiz. We will try to do more of these in the future. Um, like and subscribe to the channel, and just leave comments on what you would like to talk about next, or uh, in a future live session, and we'll try to do more. We'll try to do more of these. This was my first, so I'm kind of just getting a feel for it. Again, I'm sorry if I was all over the place, or there's still things that I got to learn on this gadget stuff here. So again, please subscribe uh if you haven't already done so. Please subscribe, and as always, we'll catch you in the next video. Ciao. Thank you.